Here we go.
And here we are. We are live. Oh my gosh. Manufacturing e-commerce success. It's a wonderful, beautiful Monday in DC. How are you doing today, Damon?
Awesome.
Damon
It's
Pistolka?
Monday motivation time, and I am
Yes.
ready to roll because we got Angela in the house today.
We got Angela, and she is going to bring all the motivation today. She's just,
Yeah.
just a powerhouse, and can't wait to hear all of her amazing words of wisdom and experience. So, Angela, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Nicole. I'm doing great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Damon. So good to see you again.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's awesome. Always.
So
Always
awesome to
awesome
have
seeing
another woman in manufacturing on the show. We just had Megan Ziemba on. I think it was last
Oh,
Damon.
I love Megan.
Yeah.
I wore my
Megan was
I
on
wore my
last week.
Mavens of Manufacturing shirt to the Houston Food Bank on Saturday, so that
Nice.
all of my manufacturing friends would be able to identify me.
I love it. Tell us about that manufacturing event that you went to, the food bank. Tell us what you guys did.
Yeah,
I'd
that
love to
sounds
hear about
awesome.
it.
Oh, I'd love to. Yes, of course. We had a great event on Saturday. So the local Houston members of the Texas chapter of Women in Manufacturing collaborated with the Houston chapter of the Society of Manufacturing Engineers, as well as the University of Houston's student chapter of the Society of Manufacturing Engineers, to volunteer at the Houston Food Bank. Now, the Houston Food Bank is gigantic, and it is one of the largest and most efficiently run food banks in the United States, and it services 16 counties in Southeast Texas. So imagine their impact for hunger relief, because it's just tremendous. I have such a heart for the food bank. So we decided to sign up for a shift at the food bank, and we had this, triple collaboration event going on. And it was just so much fun, and getting to work with my peers plus the students, and getting to know students and encouraging this next generation of manufacturing engineers was just fantastic. And of course, when you bring a bunch of manufacturing experts into a situation like that, we were assigned a task to scan all these food items and sort them. So some things were actual food items, like bottles of drink, or water, juices, soda, things like that. And then others were packaged food, cereal, prepared meals, other things like that, similar items. But then there are also household cleaning products and things that were non-food. So they had to be separated out in different boxes. Of course, we very quickly established a process, and it didn't take us long to optimize this process and then execute. So we finished our task ahead of time, and they're like, okay, go take a break and we'll find some other work for you to do. So once we finished sorting all these items, then they brought us in to sort produce. So we were bagging 5-pound bags of mandarin oranges and sorting through this big, gigantic bin of oranges, and having to sort through the good and the bad, right? The good, the bad, the ugly. Yeah. And we quickly found a way to optimize that process as well. So we had people picking out the good oranges, and at first it was like, the good and the bad, it was kind of taking too long. So a couple of us just focused on calling out the bad oranges, so that the good oranges is like, I'm calling out the oranges and I'm pitching you the good ones as I go along, and just went a lot faster.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, we got
I
some
think
people
I
here that
think
are
Dave
stopping in.
Chrysler would probably like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Dave's here. And Nicole, we got some comments coming in already. We
Yeah.
got Dave's here today and Scott. Hey,
Hi,
Scott,
Scott. Nice to see you. Hi,
Christine.
Christine. And
We got
Dave. Dave
Dave.
Chrysler's in the house. Let's go,
Yeah.
Dave. It's so good to see you.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
It's great when when you get manufacturers together. I don't care if you're doing something like that at the food bank or at the baseball park or at a school, painting up, fixing things up, because you could just tell things happen. It's like, we're here to do something. This is what we do every day. Just get us the stuff and get out of our way.
And we don't even think about it. We just fell into this rhythm automatically. We didn't
Yeah.
discuss it. We just did
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Now,
Just
that
start
is
doing.
great culture, right? Great
Yes.
culture in action. You all just kind of like the birds, the V that flies together, right? You just kind of go in your spot. And
Just
that's
happens.
amazing. It just happens. Well, cool. Well, Angela, it's so great to have you on today. Thank you for so much for joining us. And thanks everyone out there for listening in and tuning in. This is going to be such a fun, wonderful conversation. And I do have to do I have to do an homage to Kurt, who is not here today. We miss him terribly, but he is off with his family today. And just want to ask the first question that Kurt always asks. And this is, Angela, when you were a little girl growing up. Where did you grow up, by the way? Where's
Oh,
home?
extreme northwest corner of Arkansas. So I'm from Benton County, which
Yep.
is that little county in the corner by Missouri and Oklahoma,
Uh-huh.
where that all comes together.
Beautiful, beautiful part of this country. When you were a little girl growing up, who was your hero?
Marie Curie.
Wow. Marie Curie.
Awesome.
That's amazing. What
Yeah.
got you into Marie Curie? Tell me.
Oh, I read her biography when I was in the 4th grade. And I
Uh-huh.
just thought, oh, she's so fascinating. And,
Yeah.
she was Polish. And so that's why one of the elements she discovered is called polonium, is because she was Polish.
Yeah.
And she had this very romantic story with her husband and, going to the Sorbonne and she not only did she win 2 Nobel Prizes, but they're in different fields of study. One is in physics and one is in chemistry.
Yeah.
And I just thought, here was this poor little Polish girl, and look at what she accomplished. She changed the world.
She
Oh,
did
yeah.
the world. What an inspiring role model for you.
Yeah.
So cool. And I can see that her inspiration is totally led to where you are today and impacted you in a huge way. That's amazing. Very cool.
Yeah. So I don't know if I've had the opportunity to talk to Angela a couple times, and
Uh-huh.
I gotta say, there's some of the coolest stuff in your background. So let's just go back a little ways, because I want to share this. What you went to college, and what did you go to college for?
Electrical engineering.
Yes. And when you were
Baller.
in, I know, but this it just gets it's that's just like scratching the surface. So you grow up in this small area, kind of remote area. I
Ozark
did it.
Mountains.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
I grew up remote as well. You went to school, got your engineering degree, then you went and got your master's of science in telecommunications management. But where the heck was your first job coming out of college, if I remember right, or one of your first jobs? Because it was the coolest
So,
thing.
yeah, so my first real job out of college, I worked in the power management and distribution branch of the space station at NASA Glenn,
NASA.
which is
So
now, yeah,
cool.
at that time it was NASA Lewis Research Center in Cleveland, Ohio. It's now NASA Glenn. Yeah.
That's amazing.
You actually designed stuff in the power systems on there, right? You were working on the
Yeah,
teams that were doing that stuff.
yeah, there's actually on my LinkedIn profile, there is a NASA tech brief on the load converters of the space station. So my job was to we had subcontractors that built the prototypes, and so my job was to work on that design and to test prototype equipment before it would then eventually go into production to go on the space station. Because
Wow.
when I worked at NASA, it was pre-launch.
Yeah.
Wow. This is like Hidden Figures, man. Have you seen that?
Well, I'm not quite that old, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's baller, Angela.
It is. It is. Then,
Yeah.
because you talk to Angela, and Angela's she's just unassuming, and she's got all this cool
Totally.
background stuff. So then you move forward into your career a little bit more,
Mhm.
and you did something in Atlanta with telecommunications that was. I'll let you explain it, but she did something that has set a precedence for the world.
So my capstone course for my my master's degree was designing and then of course actually building a metropolitan access ring around the city of Atlanta, because the company I worked for, Williams Communications, owned a satellite uplink, uplink and downlink, obviously. It was called Up South Teleport outside the city of Atlanta, and some of our prime customers were TBS Studios, CNN, and other major Fox studios, for all the sports, ESPN, right? And
Wow.
so I needed to be able to connect all of these premium customers, Fox, for the Atlanta Braves, and all the other baseball, all the other sports, the stadiums and so forth in Atlanta. Turner, TBS, CNN, the CDC, oddly enough, and the Up South Teleport, all of these major customers in Atlanta with a very high volume, like really, really high. I could tell you it's called an OC48, so an optical circuit of 48 power. So I designed that, and so now a metro access network is a very common thing, but that was my design for my master's degree. And of course, a lot of the customers were like, I don't want my information to be at risk. CNN's like, I don't want TBS to have access to my information, and I'd have to explain to them why it wouldn't be shared and how the signals work. There's no way they could get it, and but it was fun. Yeah, it was really fun.
No pressure at
I know.
all, man.
I know.
No pressure, like designing the prototype that's going to be used to go the space. No pressure designing a metro access network.
Oh, yeah. When I was at NASA, I blew up 2 load converters that are worth $250,000 a piece. And I turned to the Westinghouse guy. I'm like, well, Dave, I guess it wasn't fail safe now, was it?
Nice. Well, it's
here I am, like
fantastic
24, 25 years old, and he's a mid-level career, white guy, and his chin just dropped.
Yeah. Well, it's better doing it in Cleveland than it is in the space station.
There you go.
Right? Exactly. I know. I just saw that movie Oppenheimer a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, but it's just insane what goes into anything related to that kind of technology, all the testing that you have to do and everything.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Man.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff.
Angela. Yeah.
I know. And so as you look at your career then, Angela, you had a bit of project management work.
Just a little
bit.
A little bit. Some pretty, I don't know, medium profile projects, Damon.
Yeah.
Just It's like another day in the office with Angela.
You hate to be in the space station pushing the reset, the breaker reset button and not working or something, or power stop.
Yeah,
So
my gosh.
you don't just phone the repairman.
We got some great comments coming in. We
Yeah.
got Dave Chrysler. I'm not a rocket scientist, but I know a bunch of them.
No, I'm not a rocket scientist, but I can introduce you to one.
And then we've got
Kevin
here.
Kevin coming here from Alaska. Man.
Hey, Kevin.
He just came. I interviewed him on the podcast on Friday, and he had me in tears. It was amazing. Hey, awesome, Kevin, it's great to see you. And Christine, it is a great movie. Really great movie. Very powerful. Well, Angela, this is so awesome. So I wanted to tell us a little bit more. Let's keep going down that path. How did you, what made you decide after all of that wonderful experience for NASA and, building out those, for all of those networks, what led you to starting your own company? What took you down that path? And what was it, the catalyst for you that was like, you know what? This is what I want to do next.
Well, this is actually my second foray into being an entrepreneur. And both times it was because I was laid off or let go from another company. So I have been working, as most recently I spent 10 years at Collins Aerospace. And I was a subcontracts program manager, which was a great use of my 3 principal skills, which are engineering, program management, and contracts management.
Yeah.
And so at the end of 2020, COVID was really shutting a lot of things down, and the aviation industry really, really suffered.
Yeah.
And Boeing had shut down the 787 production, and just one thing led to another, and I found myself without a job. So I looked around. I'm in Houston. There's a lot of high tech work here, and of course we have NASA Johnson. And I thought, well, that's helpful. I was actually in the interview process with Boeing for a job at NASA. But the commute from where I live in Houston to the Space Center is over an hour one way.
Ooh.
And I'd been working from home for 8 years at that point.
Oh, it's hard to go. After you've been working from home, it's hard to go back to an office.
Yeah. And I had two dogs. I now have 3. And my oldest girl will be 17 in October.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And I'm like, I just can't, I just can't. So I withdrew from the interview process, and the Boeing guys are, really? I'm like, I'm sorry, but I can't go into the office every day, and I can't make a commute. And I had the opportunity for a contract job, but it was with a German software company, and their ERP system could not pay me as an individual. They needed me to form an LLC in order to get compensated. So I thought, well, that's a good idea. Why don't I just form an LLC and maybe do this full time? And so that's how it all got started.
It was like you stumbled into entrepreneurship, right? Like the happy accident, necessity.
Like Kevin.
Exactly, Kevin. Exactly.
Yeah. And you never looked back, right? That's kind of how it was for me too. Similar situation. And you never looked back. You're just living it, loving it, doing good work.
Yeah.
Great.
I really do love my lifestyle right now. And as long as it pays the bills, I'm going to keep doing it.
Yep.
Very true. Well, go ahead, Damon.
No, I just want to say take away, Nicole.
I love this. Christine says, and boom, an entrepreneur was born.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, your role. You provide project management as a service, which I think is really interesting in manufacturing specifically. And so what are some of the biggest challenges that you're seeing now in manufacturers when it comes to suppliers, contracts, project management? What are those problems that you're seeing like again and again and again that that manufacturers are having, and how are you helping solve those?
Well, first of all, project management as a service, I'm actually having that trademarked. And
Ooh.
yeah, yeah.
Woo!
And then, so some of the things that I see manufacturers struggling with right now, while I was at Collins, I was one of just a handful of team members in the organizations. And Collins is a huge company, right? It's part of the Raytheon organization now. They were acquired. UTC was acquired by Raytheon. So while it was still just Rockwell Collins, um, I was selected to lead a team of subject matter experts to go into supplier locations and help those suppliers with a, a supplier risk assessment. So we would evaluate their capabilities across a broad spectrum of risk areas. So it could be their business continuity plan. It could be their hardware or software engineering practices. It could be HR. It could be financial, um, um, just their financial practices as a whole. It could be inventory control. It could be a whole gamut of potential risk areas. And then if they were found um, less than superior, we would help create an improvement plan. And so there, within Rockwell Collins, there were only, maybe half a dozen of people that were qualified to lead these teams, and I was one of them. And I loved that kind of work because we didn't consider it an audit per se. It was an assessment. And, the supplier was very involved in this. They would rate themselves first, and then the Collins team would go in and rate them. And we compare the variances. And it really was helpful to the supplier, because if they wanted an outside consultant to perform this type of analysis, it would cost them, probably hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And then I also helped perform repair capability audits, so repair station audits, because in aviation, repair capability is very, very important. So one of the things that I'm seeing just across the board in manufacturing is the establishment of KPIs in these in whatever you want to measure, right? You choose something, measure it, and then maintain that over time, right? See what the trend is. Are they maintaining? Are they improving? Are they beginning to fail? But if you do have suppliers that are trending down, nip it in the bud and set up an improvement plan. But if you don't know what your quality measures are, you don't know if you're getting good or bad quality.
It's so
Drop it
true.
right there. Yep.
Drop the mic. Establishment of KPIs. It's
Yeah.
so, and that is so true, Angela, across every business unit. There needs
Yes.
to be KPIs across the
Yes.
business. Yes.
Yes. And you and your supplier, your vendors, need to agree on what these KPIs are. And then you need to have open and honest communication in some forum. Maybe it's a monthly meeting. Maybe it's just submitting a monthly report. You don't need to meet. But if you're just getting a report and nobody's looking at it and nobody cares, That's number one, that's waste, and you're not being
Yeah.
lean. If
Yep.
you're generating reports that nobody reads, that's waste.
Yes.
So you need to be reading the reports. You need to understand what's being reported, and then act on it. So if you're getting some type of defect report, like, X number of defective parts per million is your goal. All right. Are they hitting the goal? Are they exceeding the goal? If they're exceeding the goal, reward them, compliment them, just say thank you. If they're failing,
Yes.
create an improvement and find out why.
Yes. I love that.
If it's on time delivery, if it's, calls per minute, whatever it is, whatever the KPI is, understand it and act on it.
Oh, and you said something really interesting about reporting, because it's how many times have we gotten reports that we've never looked at, right? Like
Yeah.
it happens a lot, right? I remember reading about Jeff Bezos in his Amazon meetings. I don't know if you guys know this. I found it fascinating that in the meetings, he banned slide decks and everyone gets a memo that they have to read at the meeting. So they spend the first 20 minutes of the meeting, everyone has to read the memo before they talk about it. And I thought, like, that's brilliant, because how many times do you go to a meeting and someone hasn't prepared for it or didn't have time to read it or whatever? And this way, everyone in the room is dealing with and knows and has access to the same information. There's no excuse. You have to review it, So anyway, I thought that was fascinating, but I love it.
That is key. That is key. And as you know, and I've seen both of you, that you go into these meetings and someone starts talking about something, and somebody else that's should be weighing in on it, or maybe even having to make a decision. They're like, well, I need to review that. And
it wastes everyone's time.
It is, especially when you're talking about a KPI, a performance review meeting, right? Because if you're going to have one of these, we used to, and I just love being a stickler like Bezos on these things. You come to the meeting knowing what your numbers are. They better be in the reports, because we're not going to go through every number on the report. It's there because everybody should look at it, but we're looking at exceptions, issues, and solving problems. If you keep that focus on that and stay off of those things that, hey, I was supposed to do 10 and we did 10 or we did 11. Cool. We don't even need to talk about that. Let's talk about the one where we were supposed to do 10 and we're going 3.
Yes.
But Angela, you got to see a lot of this when you're helping people with project management. I mean, it's just a lot of but execution is really the hardest thing, isn't it?
That's hard. That is really hard to say. So because execution is only one portion. You've got the whole initiating, planning,
there you go,
execution, monitoring and controlling, and then closing.
There you go.
So for some people, the initiating and planning is the most difficult, and then once you get that done, executing rolls. But
yeah, it's true.
Execution is where the hard work is done, and the team needs to come to the table and do the work. Yeah.
I think you guys are both right on this. I think it depends maybe on the organization, right? Like maybe some organizations which are very process oriented and maybe not so open to change, getting them bought into the whole transformation is a much more massive, difficult undertaking. And once they've all bought into it, they're like, we get process, we got this all figured out, right? But then maybe other organizations that are much more nimble and innovative and all of that, change is much easier for them, but then the execution part of it might be harder. So maybe I think you guys are both right. I think it's maybe business specific, right? And I think Angela, probably that's your experience, is when you go into these various businesses, you have to be able to identify, all of those barriers, roadblocks, and everything, and put together a plan that's going to work for that specific business.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Very cool. Man. Well, tell us a little bit more about last week. You were traveling. and you were at a conference and you were
Yeah.
talking about, you were
Mhm.
representing Women in Manufacturing chapter for
Mhm.
Houston, right? Tell us a little
Right.
bit about what you were talking about there. It was all about digital transformation. We hear that word. That's a big buzzword. Every company is going through digital transformation. Let's be honest. This is like digital transformation is like status quo these days. Like you have to be digitally transforming your business. Otherwise, you're not going to survive. So what was
Yeah.
it that you were talking about there? And what do you think manufacturers, because we hear these statistics that like 70% of all digital transformation projects fail and all of
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
So tell us about what you were sharing there and what are some things that we can be thinking about, audience can be thinking about digital transformation.
So digital transformation, and this is one of the things that we pointed out at the conference last, which was the AI Manufacturing and SCADA Technology Conference in Dallas, and
Mhm.
we had a panel discussion of women in manufacturing members from the Texas chapter at the conference. Now, digital transformation is a very broad topic, and for that in a 30-minute panel discussion was quite a challenge.
I bet.
So one of the things that one topic that we touched on was ERP systems. That's an example of how digital transformation has touched manufacturing. And ERP systems are designed to collect and share information in real time throughout the organization. So this can give you data on inventory management, on sales, on production planning, um, on design rev control, just a tremendous amount of data about your products and your customers and your sales throughout the organization in real time. And whenever you have a update or a change to, complete like new rollout of an ERP system, it's going to be really, really important that you have the buy-in from leadership, but that you also have the buy-in from the users. So you want to make it clear why this change is taking place and how people are going to be affected in their daily lives, and hopefully how it's going to be an improvement for them, how this change is going to make their workload easier, and so forth. And then one of the biggest things is that you're going to track adoption, because that's ultimately what you want. It won't be a
Mm-hmm.
success if the users don't adopt the
Yeah.
new change.
Yeah.
So you're going to
Yeah.
need members of the team, of the project management team or the change management team, to be ambassadors for this change to help to get that adoption.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like, how can you be a great ambassador? What does a great ambassador do to help with adoption?
So when I was at Collins, we decided to roll out SAP's Ariba software for contract management. And so, a lot of companies use SAP, and this is just another SAP product. So once the rollout took place, I then began to hold weekly meetings for the subcontracts organization to just be a Q&A sounding board. So members of my group, my organization, so there's like 150 subcontract program managers, um, could attend my weekly meetings and ask questions, or say, I find how to do that. All right, I would log that question, and if I didn't immediately know the answer, I would find out by the next week's meeting. And it was okay to say, I don't know, but I will find out. And so together we learned, and this log was it was on a site where everybody could access the Q&A log, and just so that was how I was an ambassador,
Yeah.
to
That's
just
so
help
important
say,
too.
yeah,
Because if someone doesn't step up to take responsibility for getting questions answered, a lot of
mhm,
times people just get frustrated and use their old workarounds instead of adopting the system. And
exactly,
just by stepping up, you're helping people. And then also publishing kind of an FAQ site where, hey, I've
yes,
got this question, what's the answer, is an awesome way to keep that going long term too.
mhm,
Yeah, and make it efficient for people to get answers to their questions,
Yeah.
so they're not having to like repeat themselves over and over, or someone tells them the wrong thing or whatever. You have one place where that's like the master source of truth,
mhm,
that you
mhm.
can add to. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Well, and then you don't have people just moaning and groaning. It's horrible. I hate it. You know?
What is
No,
it with
it's
why do we hate change so much? It's so funny. It's like we have this love-hate relationship with change. We all kind of want it, but then when it comes, we're like, I don't want it anymore. It's so
Yeah.
funny.
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's for sure. And it's a great example too, Angela, because ERP implementation is probably one of the most despised things in manufacturing across the
Mhm.
board. You think about anything you can do in a manufacturing business, and when people hear ERP implementation, they just think of fingers on nails on a chalkboard, just going,
Well, your ERP system basically touches
oh,
everything
yeah, yeah,
end to end.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And then you
Well,
get then go ahead, Nicole. Sorry,
no,
I
you
can
go
go
ahead,
down this a long ways.
David.
Well, because people are, so you get this ERP system, right? And it touches everything, as Angela says. First of all, I got 47 different departments that have to all agree on how we're going to use it. And then they want to keep doing it the way they've always done it, which is the most horrible thing you can do to an ERP system, because it takes orders like this and flows through like this, and goes through this way. And you're saying, but no, we want to go through this way. And it's like, so some people actually will go customize stuff to do this,
Oh,
to
yes. Oh,
customize the
yeah.
flow through the ERP systems. Now, what you've just created is a one-off version of that ERP system, which you have taken ownership for the rest of your life, rather than figuring out how to really optimize your processes around how the software is meant to work. Is such a huge waste of time. Even in the smaller companies where I worked, you would spend hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to do that, just because Damon likes to do it this way. And in the end, you just added however many years you had that system's worth of extra work, because every time you upgrade, every time you want to make another change, you have to, all that stuff has to be considered. It's like,
Mhm.
ugh.
Well, then another area for digital transformation, of course, is the Internet of Things.
Yeah.
So all of these digital assets to your company's is you're creating more connectedness within the
Uh-huh.
factory, and you're building a smart factory. Well, that's wonderful, but now you need more computing power, and you need more,
Yeah.
let's assume, cloud storage space.
Mm-hmm.
And you also are creating more network vulnerability for in the case of cybersecurity threats.
Mm-hmm.
So all of that has to be considered as well.
Yep. I
So,
had
um,
one of my friends running a manufacturing company. They got hacked through their plasma cutter out on the floor. Killed it. Killed
that's
it.
incredible. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
it's everywhere now, because every
Mhm,
machine is hooked into your network. Most of them
mhm,
are able to access the internet and do what they need to do. And
mhm.
yeah. Yeah.
And
Mm,
let's assume that you're allowing your employees um, to have their own personal devices connected to the network,
Yeah.
because you want them to have round the clock availability. So their personal phones or iPads or whatever can be connected to the network to access their email. Let's just say email only.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now their phone is a device connected to your network, and all of the apps on their phone become a point of vulnerability for your network.
Yes.
Oh,
my
yeah,
God.
yeah.
So true.
It's all true.
It keeps on going and going.
Yeah,
It does. It just spirals.
it does. It really does. I like Dan's comment. Dan does ERP implementation, so
Yes, this is
I
we
figured
have
he'd
a
like
great
that.
question. It's funny to hear how ERP is despised. Business process management up front can eliminate some of the kinks and frustrations. Do you recommend BPM? Angela,
Absolutely.
so what, maybe tell our audience what is BPM? Tell us a little bit about what that is and your thoughts on that. Yeah.
Business process management.
Yeah.
So I think that all of your processes need to be documented. Those documents need to be rev controlled, and you need to have a process around how you update and release your processes, your documented processes. But for what Dan's alluding to, you would want to have a process around how you handle ERP updates, the decision process around how you would make a decision on whether to implement changes and how to execute those changes, including adoption.
And do you need a process on your process?
Oh yeah, of course.
Wait, what? Processes are important? Oh man. Very
So
true.
I recently was working for a client and some of their processes had not been updated in well over 8 years.
Oh, wow.
The rev control showed a date that was like 2014. And I was like, the company name that owned that process no longer exists. So
wow.
we may want to revisit that.
Yeah.
But that was beyond the scope of my project.
Yeah. Oh my
So
God.
I just made a note.
Well,
made a recommendation.
Yeah. What are some other like fantastic failures that you've seen maybe that manufacturers can avoid anytime they're going through, an ERP implementation or sort of digital transformation? Tell us about some things that they can
identifying stakeholders. So this is one of those things that you do up front.
Identifying stakeholders.
Because you don't want to be halfway through an implementation and find out that you completely forgot about a whole division that's going to be impacted by this change. It's like, tax accounting? We didn't realize that tax accounting was going to be affected.
Yeah.
and then you have to stop and figure out how to fix this.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in that position.
Huge waste of time at that point.
Yeah, because if you're not including the stakeholders, you're gonna have to go all the way back to the drawing board.
You could have to go all the way back to the beginning.
All the way back to the beginning. Yes.
Yeah.
So
you did that wrong. It's a big time.
Identifying your stakeholders up front is hugely important. Huge. And so you can't do a project manager cannot do that work in a vacuum. You have to involve other team members, ask your sponsor, get people involved up front and early about who else should we think about, who else might be using this.
Yeah.
And the best way to do that is to map out the process.
I think Dave Chrysler might be singing over there.
Yeah, I think so. I think he is.
So if you map out the process, you can begin to identify who's going to be affected,
Yeah.
and then ask them,
Yeah.
hey, if I push this button, is it gonna, is it gonna eventually, you know, leave some Skittles in your desk?
So
Yeah.
true. My
Yeah.
gosh.
Good stuff.
Very good.
So
Yeah.
you got you've done a lot of work in the women in manufacturing. I want to talk about that a little bit. And what are some of the
Yes.
things that you see that's really got you excited about women in manufacturing and getting more young women involved in manufacturing?
Okay. So, I joined Women in Manufacturing back in February or March of 2021. And part of my motivation for joining was to network because, as I said, I was at that point of not knowing where my career was going to go, and I thought, you guys know Lori Nevin, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Lori is a good friend and actually former uh, supplier. She used to work for a company that supplied Collins, and that's how we met.
Okay.
Um, she was giving a presentation on project management to Wim Washington. And so, being friends, I thought, I'm going to support my good friend Lori. I'm going to attend this event she's giving. And so I attended the event. And I thought, wow, this is just awesome. I hope there's something like this in Texas. And there was. So I joined WIM and I affiliated with the Texas chapter. And it was just a fantastic way of meeting other women in manufacturing. And I've met chemists from Dow and um, BASF, and of course Karen Rivera, that you both know, is the
Mm-hmm.
state chair for women in manufacturing now, and she's just amazing. And then so many other really, you know, really amazing that I wouldn't otherwise have had the opportunity to meet, given where we are located and the difference in our real world titles.
Yeah.
Um, so that's been really encouraging. And then because of my role on the board of directors, I have the opportunity to plan events here in Houston. So we have a monthly meet greet, and I get to meet these women in person. And then we also have virtual events. Um, Next month, I'll be going to the international conference in San Diego. This will be my second time to go to Summit and just have a few days of just lots and lots of training on all sorts of topics related to manufacturing from some really excellent presenters, and get to spend some time also networking with other WIM chapter, WIM, all different WIM chapters. But I love the WIM Educational Foundation and their platform of training. So they have all kinds of different training. We have every month a virtual learning series, which provides all WIM members with some training that is usually related to manufacturing. But then they also have cohort training. So we have one coming up that is the empowering women in production, which is the only training that I know of its kind. And it is specifically designed to train the women on the production floor with leadership skills and all kinds of skills to help build up their professional development, because I think that's an area that is too often overlooked. Lots of companies train their new managers or their executives, but they overlook the women that are on the production floor. There doesn't seem to be a lot of professional development specifically for them. And then, of course, WIM does have that new manager and that executive development program as well. And in fact, the executive development program is offered through Case Western Reserve University, which is a very, very well-respected university in Cleveland.
Yeah. Very cool.
Then there's like the Moms in Manufacturing event that's held every year. And that's actually a virtual event. So they try to make it as convenient for moms as they can.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So there's just all kinds of stuff.
So great. We were talking with Megan about this last week, and I'd love to ask you the question I asked her, and that is, what is it that you think women in manufacturing bring to manufacturing uniquely? And what can women and men be doing to support that?
Okay. So I think that women bring a different perspective in that we have a different problem-solving methodology. I think I think we approach problem solving a little different than men, because I think we think a little bit more about consequences and the ramifications a little bit more. We're not just straight to the point. How do I do this? But it's like, well, if I did this, but what if I did that? We kind of solve it a little bit differently. And we may be more likely to engage partners to help us solve.
I can vouch for that.
Yes,
very true.
And another thing, women in manufacturing is not, it's not exclusively for females. We certainly welcome male allies to the organization.
Yeah,
that's great.
So
well, it's the fact of the matter is manufacturing, we need so many people. We want everyone and their friends and their friends' friends, just because we don't have enough people in manufacturing right now. And that's that's adopting as many robotics as we can, and AI and everything else, because there's just not enough people anymore. I think it's still true. As a few months ago, though, I heard that you can't fill all the manufacturing open positions with all the unemployed people in the U.S.
Wow.
It something like that. It was some crazy fact like that. So yeah. And we got the other thing you got going on that's pretty cool, where we're going to jump off here. We got a few minutes to jump off here, though, is first of all, real quick about M&I University.
Yes.
What's going on with the M&I University?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I am doing some pro bono work for M&I University as being the project manager with Katie McDermott.
Nice.
And so I'm so happy to see that both of you are volunteering to teach a course as well. And what I'm doing is each Wednesday in the month of October, I'm going to be teaching a course on project management, a topic in the field of project management. So that's already on the M&I University site, and you can sign up if you're interested. I'd love to see some people registered before October.
And I this is a great, wonderful free service that M&I offers. I was part of it last year, and I think just so the quality of education, having someone like you there, Dave Chrysler, I know, did it last year as well. There's just some really, really high quality content that comes from this from M&I that's being offered completely. It's a free service. So please take advantage. It's really great. And Whitney says, super excited for M&I University this year. Gail's here. Hi, Gail.
Yeah, Gail.
Always love insights from Angela.
Thank you, Gail.
Nice. And then
Whitney and Gail are both presenting again this year.
Yeah. And then Kevin, I have found that women's unique view of processes give insights in everything from kinesiology to manufacturing. So great. Yep, we're getting
Thank
a
you,
lot of
Kevin.
great comments. And then Kevin also, he says he wants to provide you with a free bag of treats for your dogs. So he
Boom.
manufactures
Ooh.
dog
Oh.
treats,
Single ingredient dog
salmon.
treats.
Yep, they're
Oh, that
Boom.
is so awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Normally the only treats my dog gets are carrots, which they love. I have videos of my dogs eating carrots. It's just hilarious.
Yeah.
But Kevin, I
Good
will
stuff.
welcome that. Thank you.
And then shout out to Katie McDermott who
Yeah,
puts on
put it
M&I.
all
Katie's
together.
doing amazing work. So definitely check that out. And I know you have a new project management training services that you're offering. I think it'd be great to
Yes.
just touch on that really quickly before we close out the show and tell everyone what you're launching soon.
Sure. So we are offering a learning management system. So that is focused on project management as well as the soft skills that help someone be a better project manager. And right now I'm the bottleneck, just getting all the content curated. But we hope to have that ready at the end of the month or next week. Next week, hopefully, is when it will go live. And
Nice.
if anyone wants to see a 5-minute sample of what that looks like, just send me a LinkedIn message or an email, and I'll be happy to send that over.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, this has been such a wonderful conversation. Oh my God.
Yes.
Angela, from sending spaceships out into space to connecting our networks to supporting women in manufacturing to teaching us about digital transformation. Thank you so much.
We didn't even talk about wedding planning.
Oh my gosh, you are truly a Renaissance woman. Oh, Dan has a quick question I want to point out. He asks if your course includes waterfall, agile, or hybrid, and what
Dan, that response it can take a little while, but it entirely depends on the requirements of the project. So that's all I can tell you right now.
There we go.
That makes sense. I guess.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Where you are. This is great.
Come to my M&I class and we can talk about it further.
Yeah, there you go.
Very good.
Good stuff.
Well, Damon, I don't know. I know Kurt always has this amazing closing question. I just don't know that I can do it justice the way Kurt does. I think you need to ask it, Damon Pistolka.
Well, Nicole, there's a first time for everyone.
All right. Well, I'm not a huge baseball person, but this is the question that Kurt always asks. Kurt, if you're out there, I know I'm not going to do you. I'm doing my best. Okay. So, Angela, do you like baseball?
Mm-hmm. I do. I'm from Houston. We got the Astros.
You're an Astros fan. Okay. So you're an Astros fan. Let's just imagine that it's the 9th inning. Bases are loaded. And they say, Angela, two outs.
Mm-hmm.
And your coach comes up to you and says, Angela, you're up. It's your turn to the plate. You gotta hit that home run, that grand slam. Okay.
Got a person on second. On second. You got to drive them in to win the game.
Okay.
Bottom of the 9th.
Bottom of the 9th. What is your walk-up song?
Oh, it's definitely something by Pink, and
awesome.
Trouble. Yeah.
Love it.
There you go.
That's probably the first pop song we've gotten in a while, Damon.
Yeah,
I love it.
That's
Very
a good
nice.
one.
That's a good one.
We have had some amazing answers to this question, though.
I bet.
Just let your bodies hit the floor, right? Let
yeah,
the
there's
yeah.
Yeah.
How about the Cupid Shuffle?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Dave Chrysler says, amazing show, everyone. Kevin
you, Dave.
Thompson says, good pick, Angela. Yep, very good.
All right.
And so this has been such a great show. Damon, any last and final words that you have that you want to share?
Have a great week, everyone. You don't even realize that we're sliding into the holiday weekend this coming up weekend. It's
Yeah.
already here, but we're not having a show on Friday, and I don't think we have a show the following Monday. But just have a great weekend, be safe, and enjoy time with friends and family.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
Angela,
Well,
any final words?
It's only 90 degrees today in Houston, so I'm enjoying the cool weather.
Hopefully the humidity's down soon. That's nice. Very nice. Well, good. Well, thank you everyone out there for listening and for tuning in. It's so nice to see all of our manufacturing friends out there commenting and sharing the love. And
Yeah, thanks
we
everyone.
appreciate you guys. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Angela, hope you have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy those dogs and have a wonderful week. And Damon, you too. Enjoy all that crab you got this weekend. And we'll talk to you soon.
All right.
See y'all
Thank
later.
you so much.